just wanted to go ahead and do this live video real quick. Um, it's about study Gematria and actually how it's related to me. Um, I What I experienced in the army is very related to Gematria. Uh, basically to tell you what I experienced in the army was I was considered suicidal, and I never had any intention of killing myself. They just do that to embarrass me, especially my platoon sergeant named Gregory Forney. That's his name. Y'all could Google him if you want. Yeah, he was the one who locked me out of my room to try to embarrass me, to make me feel bad, to make me feel like something is psychologically wrong with me when there is something wrong with him and the system that he promotes as a slave to the army, to the federal government, you know. So I did gematria, and I just plugged in my first name, and then I did the gematria for suicide. It's mind blowing how several numbers of gematria actually are the same for my first name and suicide. My first name is Maurice, Maurice. And the numbers come up, they're related to the word suicide. And I did a gematria on that too. It was several numbers, not just the main numbers 34, 47, 70, and 119, but it's also two additional numbers. Numbers 420 and 714. So it's about these are good six numbers that is related. And I was just like so mind blown by that. And then 119 is also a special number too. Propaganda has a gematria 119, which I just discovered that a couple of days ago. So it's kind of interesting how that is. Very interesting. And how I was set up to make it look like I was committing suicide. But that's the psyops that the military plays on people, especially on people of color. Especially if you don't have a slave mentality yourself, or they feel that you're a threat or you think differently. People who think differently are gonna always be seen as a threat, regardless of what your racial background is. But especially melanated people, we're always seen as a threat, you know. So, I'm kind of glad I came out of that experience alive because, I mean, shoot, I could have killed myself, you know, and nobody would have never, and it would have been all covered up. It would have been all covered up, you know. Or it would have been that, well, he just killed himself. Time to move on. It is, and the army would have said, well, we're not responsible for what he has done to himself, you know. So that's pretty much how that goes on there. But there's also other ways, and I just use that as a pretext of other ways that gematria relates to people as well. You know, Actually, I might show y'all a little something that I was writing on. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna go ahead and reverse this camera for y'all real quick. Yeah, as you gonna see, I did a lot of writing on here. Um, I don't know if you're familiar. I'm sure most of y'all familiar with Lisa Lopez. Yeah, you see the numbers that I put on here. Yeah, you definitely see the numbers that I put on here. That 5/27/32, that's a birthday. It's kind of funny because it relates to my birthday too, which also adds up to 32. And it also adds up to a first and last name, Lisa Lopez. So also another thing to look at too, Lisa Lopez and Baphomet also have a gematria 36. Yeah, that's something as well. And Baphomet is a transgender god. So propaganda and transgender also have a gematria of 119, which is pretty congruent. And it's kind of congruent with what I went to in the army too, based on propaganda, which is where the word propaganda comes in, which propaganda the has a gematria of 119, in which my name also has a gematria of 119. So, and also suicide at the same time. You know, it's kind of wild how all this stuff is related. Also, what you see up here too is Lisa Lopez and transgender both have a gematria of 64. You know, let me see here. Also, Lisa Lopez has a gematria of 64, and Baphomet has a gematria of 46, which is the reverse of 64. That's interesting too. Which confirms, so enough of confirmation that Lisa Lopez was transgender or set up to be transgendered from the get go. You know, so also Lisa Lopez has a and plane crash both have a gematria 36. Actually, actually, that's not really. Actually, she didn't technically die from a plane crash per se. Actually, she really died from a car crash, in which I put her whole name, her full name, which has a gematria 86, and car crash has a gematria 68, the reverse of 86. And also, I added in Andre Rice's name, her ex-husband. They both have a gematria of 54. That's interesting to note. And also up here on top, uh, Lisa Nicole Lopez, her entire name has a gematria of 58, and Baphomet has a gematria of 85, which is the reverse of 58. And also her whole name has a gematria of 76, and Baphomet has a gematria of 76. Those are two additional confirmations that Lisa Lopez will be transgender. I don't know whether she worships Baphomet or not, but that comes into congruence with that pretty much. Also, the last thing to look at here is her whole name in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania has a gematria of 76, which confirms that which is set up that she will be born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's Lisa Lopez's birthplace. Which I just found out. I didn't even know she was from Philadelphia. I may have thought she was from like Georgia, in Georgia or somewhere like that. So yeah, this is pretty much all I've came through and studied. in regards to Lisa Lopez and transgenderism, and it's kind of related to myself as well, you know, especially the number 119. In which you reverse that, you have 9/11, in which 9/11 was a propaganda tool, you know. A propaganda tool to maybe even usher in a new world order, which has already been ushered in when George Bush Sr. Declared a new world order in one of his speeches. Uh, but yeah, this is pretty much interesting. And as you may see here, what I was talking about earlier, my name equals the suicide 420, and my name is and suicide also gematria 714. You know, those two numbers are like very big as well. You know, so yeah, I guess you notice I also got Serena Williams on here as well, trying to relate her in this too. And it's kind of funny that she has a gematria 76, which is the same thing as Lisa Nicole Lopez and Baphomet on set gematria 76. You know, so yeah, and also Dave Chappelle has a gematria of 57, and Virgo also has a gematria of 57. That he was born to be a Virgo, and his birthday is the same as mine's, which is a gematria, which is a numerology of 32, as you may see here. You know, which is the same, which Lisa Lopez's birthday and her first and last name also has a numerology and gematria of 32 respectfully. You know, it's just amazing how the letters and the numbers come together. You know, so that's pretty much all I want to put out on this video. And that's just like the beginning of what I really been working on. You know. Anyway, y'all stay tuned. I'm gonna be bringing up doing more videos or what have you. And y'all have a good night. Peace.